Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Post-Match Raw from the FA Cup. It is your cup host, me, Guy Drinkle. We have to do this again because we drew 2-2 in those replays this year. I thought they'd go straight to extra time and penalties. Dave lied to me on 2-footed the other day. So now I'm even more devastated. But before we get into said devastating game, I will introduce my guests. Lisa Marie, how are you?
Oh, I am absolutely fabulous, Guy. So happy to be here and chatting about whatever that was.
Yes, again.
For the record, my daughter thinks the fact that they didn't do extra time and penalties was really stupid. That's, straight from the 13-year-old.
And that's a new fan. Or not, does she even watch football?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, she watched a good portion of the second half with me.
She won't be a fan for much longer.
And she played up until a year ago.
Okay.
So
yeah. So she knows. Relatively new fan. Knows replays are stupid idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, she's been to 2 Liverpool games. No, 1 Liverpool. When we went to a preseason game a couple of years ago, she was there.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And this particular fixture scarred me because it's one of the Anfield games I went to. And we lost that.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
This is why you don't go to games anymore?
Yes, I'm banned from Anfield because of games like this. But seemingly it doesn't matter. But I will introduce our other guest before we get into the other game. And this is my ex-partner in crime, but then he decided to move and leave me on my own. And that is Andy Wales. How are you doing, Andy?
Good evening, Guy. I'm doing better than our defending. And well, we're back together on a pod. Do you remember when we used to talk about wins?
No.
No.
Oh, God.
And good performance in the midfield that functioned. And oh, God.
If we did Red Review now, Andy, it'd just be the Samaritan's number, I reckon, if we did Red Review now.
I would just cry, sob, and I get slowly drunk.
Yes.
And then we call for help. There we go. There's your monthly review.
Yeah. I just said that to Nina to edit and she could figure that out.
Oh, my word.
Oh, Christ alive. Yeah, let's get into this then. Lisa Marie, I'll start with you with the Liverpool team. There was a debate in the fan base whether we should basically play the under-12s or do what we did, and that's basically go full strength. Yeah, basically, apart from the injuries, which is very long and extensive list of people, but we went full strength and Wolves seemingly went a bit weak. I mean, what did you think of the Liverpool team?
I was surprised. I was very surprised when I saw the lineup. We did go much stronger than I had expected, and I was really surprised to see Kelleher not in goal because, it's been said a couple times he's the cup goalkeeper, and so that I think probably raised my eyebrows more than some of the rest of the lineup. But of course, that's the first name you see, so that just sort of was like, oh, okay, and so not what I expected to see. Expect to see, say Tsimikas in instead of Robertson, and just wasn't. It was a lot stronger than I expected to see, but it didn't really seem to do us any good. So anyway.
Yeah. Maybe if Kelleher played, it would have been better, to be fair.
Possibly. Yeah. Though we love Alisson. The man's entitled to an off day every now and again. And you know what? If he's going to have one, I'd rather it was in the Cup than in the league or in Champions League. So, hey, maybe this is his boo-boo for the rest of the season, and he'll continue to be spectacular.
The man's the only reason we're not in like the relegation zone. He could he could throw in 17 goals in the next game and he'd still be our player of the year, I think.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. Andy, I mean, the Wolves team will come on to in a sec, but yeah, Kelleher, it is weird because obviously Kelleher is the League Cup goalkeeper and he played every game last year and obviously we got to the final. But yeah, Klopp did confirm Alisson is our FA Cup goalkeeper. It is a bit strange because it's not like Kelleher is untested, as we say. He's probably the best backup goalkeeper we've had at Liverpool, but basically in my lifetime. It's a bit weird he doesn't get the FA Cup as well as the League Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit strange. I must admit, I was surprised when I'd seen that. I think it was yesterday that news was filtering out, and it was a bit surprising. But even that, given that news, I still expected us to make some changes. I really did not expect us to go as strong as we did. Maybe it was punishment. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Punishment for the other day. You've got to go out and play again because you were all that bad. But again, I suppose the fact that the next game is a week away, maybe they want to keep some kind of rhythm, if you can call it rhythm, that we have at the moment.
Yeah, great rhythm.
Yeah. keep on
We need to find a new rhythm. Would be my.
We need a new instrument, I think, Lisa Marie.
A new conductor, perhaps.
Yes, anyway, absolutely. Lisa Marie's Klopp out. She just said it.
I did not.
She just said it.
No. It's all Linder's fault.
It is. He's the conductor. Get him out. But Andy, I mean, the Wolves team there. I mean, let me just get it up in front of me. I'm not sure how much you've seen of Wolves, but I'm sure you know Lopetegui because he's obviously managed around Europe for a long while and did Spain for a little while. He has made an impact since coming in. I think he's improved them. Considering they basically had Colin Pascal managing them for a good few months, but they look tough to beat. But they did rotate a bit. There's a few youngsters in there. There's a left back playing at left wing, for instance. So they rotated more than we did, and well, they seemed just as competent, if not more competent, than our team. Which is a worry.
I'll be honest, I've barely seen anything of Wolves this season, and yeah, they've been pretty poor. And yeah, they made a good number of changes, moved their team around in the way that I kind of expected us to have done, really. And like I said, I can't pretend to know too much about some of them players that are on the pitch for them. Interesting that Jimenez was starting again. Obviously, the whole backstory with him and his career, potentially career-ending head injury. But the goalkeeper was the notable thing early on. Really was the goalkeeper that they played, and yeah, he seemed determined to keep kicking the ball out of play and giving us opportunities. So I'm thinking. Early on, I'm thinking, I'm liking all these changes. Then the fact we've gone strong, maybe we'll get a bit of a confidence booster here. But yeah, it didn't last long.
No, it didn't. And we'll get into the game because we did start off quite well, I thought, and obviously it did change. But Andy, I'll stick with you. I mean, Moore wins a free kick after some nice interplay on the right. Trent and Moore. Combined quite well, ends up with a Gakpo shot. That's basically till the 13th minute, and then Joel Matip we might have to spend a few minutes on. But we did start the game quite well, Andy. I mean, you mentioned sending them out there as a punishment. Do you think maybe being at Anfield, Klopp hopefully absolutely rinsed them in the build-up to the game? It did start off well, but as we say, it did seem to drop.
Yeah, I think I do wonder if there's a little bit in there as well of trying to get this out of our system. The chance of look, let's just get out there, get in front of Anfield, let's try and get something going here. Let's try and turn things around. Obviously, Cody Gakpo starting. That was something I think we really did lack in them last couple of games against Brentford and against Leicester. As much as Ox did an okay job in fulfilling a role on the pitch, what we really lacked in terms of balance was somebody out there that's going to, get the ball and turn and run at defences and stretch them and cause them problems. So, maybe the thought was this could be an opportunity here for us to turn the confidence around a little bit, get things going, and let's kind of kickstart the second half of the season. And like you said, it was for the first 14 minutes. Yeah, it was a positive start. I thought we were quite aggressive. We had a lot of the ball. Wolves couldn't seem to get any sort of meaningful possession. If they won it within 2-3 passes, we had it back again, and we were around them. We surrounded them. We smothered them. And it was a positive start, but we didn't really create much in the way of any clear-cut chances. That was the only thing. We looked strong, we looked positive, we were on top, but we weren't really looking like scoring, I felt.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I felt we, as I said, dominated that 10 minutes, but creativity, it's been an issue all season, I think. I'm sure I saw Sai just tweet out some stats there that Trent has 2 assists for the season, but he's created more chances this season than he had last season. So it might not be a Trent issue, but I think outside of Trent, we do have very little creativity. Obviously, we had the experiment of playing Mo Salah as the assistant referee, which I think it worked okay from a creative point of view, but it didn't work from a goal-scoring point of view. So, Andy, do you think it's a mix of poor finishing and lack of creativity, or is it a mix of the system and individuals not doing the job? It's such an odd question.
There's definitely a mixture of things. I mean, a couple of things that I did miss there as well in that early period is Gakpo. The early signs for me were his first touch looked really good. I was really impressed. There was 2 or 3 times in that opening period of the game, his first touch was absolutely fantastic, and that's a positive thing for me when someone has a good first touch like that. And he looked, certainly in the first 10 minutes, he looked like he was ready to have a go. He became a lot safer after that period, I thought. But early on, that was a nice indication. But in terms of creativity, I kind of feel like we've lost our way this season. We've lost our identity of who we are and what we do and our patterns of play and the type of team that we are. And we've become a slower, more ponderous team, like happy to have the ball, and we'll just creep the ball up in possession, park on the edge of the opposition's box, and we're moving it around, and we'll give the ball to either Trent or to Thiago, and we're going to hope that either of them two can pick a pass out of nothing, can unlock with their passing technique. And, that both of them are capable of doing these things at times, but it's becoming too much to ask them to do everything, like way too much with one pass. Beyond that, it's going to be an individual moment of brilliance. We don't seem to be able to turn teams over quickly anymore. And this whole thing of us being pushed so far up the pitch and being so slow and being camped there, that as soon as we do misplace a pass, because we're trying to do too much with the ball, because other teams are able to position themselves and get nice and compact and sit on the outside of their box and deny us space, that if we're trying to do so much that we lose possession, then on that turnover, we look so open and we look so easy to run straight through and against us. So it's like a twofold thing. The fact that we're so static and we're not creating anything with our off-the-ball movement is leading us to take too many chances on the ball to create something, relying on an individual moment of brilliance, that we're then, when we do cough up possession, we look so vulnerable out of possession on the transition. And then these two things just seem to be destroying us this season. Mix them in with some of them individual errors that we're having as well. And it's becoming very, very painful to watch, because this is a shadow of the team that it was just 6 months ago. And it's as we discussed earlier in the week, I think we're getting close to the point where beer just isn't enough.
Very true, very true. And as Deepa says in the chat there, there's no Gegen in our Gegen press. It just seems a bit all dogs chasing cars at the minute. It seems very uncoordinated, which is the most un-Klopp-like thing you'd ever see. I will move on to Lisa Marie, but just a quick thing there, Andy. You are rustling a bit, so when I come back to you, just try and hold your mic. But Lisa Marie, the next moment I have noted down is Joel Matip's nearly accidental moment, and obviously he gets out of it. But is it just me, or has Joel Matip kind of been a bit of a nightmare since he's come back from the World Cup?
Yeah, no, it's not just you. I agree with that. I agree with what Andy was saying there just a minute, that we all look, or it all just looks so disconnected all over the pitch, in so many ways. And Matip doesn't look comfortable somehow. I don't know. I mean, he's always been a player that there's been and I mean this in the nicest possible way, a certain level of awkwardness to sometimes, but he doesn't look, he doesn't look quite comfortable to me somehow on the field. And yeah, but that was a near miss, and I thought, okay, we've got that out of our system, but it just kind of went downhill from there for a while. Everything just, disconnected is the word that just keeps sticking into my head. It feels like, and it's, like it just doesn't flow. That whole free thing that we were so known for, the team was so known for such a long time, and you just can't put your finger on exactly why. I mean, I don't, I can't. I mean, and of course, I'm no tactician. I know enough about tactics and some of these things to just kind of be a little bit dangerous. And everything feels like it's slightly out of focus in a way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It just seems... I'm not even sure, because it's been that long this season. We've had a big break in between. What did we do during the World Cup break? What did we look to fix? I think some of the people who...
What were they doing in Dubai, other than working on their tans? I mean, that sounds very harsh and very critical, and I don't necessarily mean it that way, but you have to wonder what was the purpose of that, and what were they doing? Because it certainly doesn't look as really working on fixing the issues that the team was experiencing before the World Cup break. Or is that just me?
No, it looks... I think from a defensive point of view, it might even look bloody worse. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's it. Our defense... That was just especially, think back to the season we won the Champions League, and even the season, it seems like we won the Premier League, that, our defense was, you didn't even worry about it. No. When you saw them start to come at us, it was just like, oh yeah, whatever. Give it a go, guys. Just go for it. Go ahead.
I was less worried when we had Reece and that back there.
Yes. And now, when I go, oh God, oh, okay. Or, well, crap, I saw that coming. Yeah, it just...
It didn't go in. There's only 89 minutes left. Let's go.
Exactly. So it's, it is very... The whole thing is very unsettling. And as, everybody who listens to me on a regular basis knows that this is such a turn of the wheel to me that I can't decide. I know for a lot of fans, this is a kind of like a flashback thing, back to way some things were prior to the Klopp era. But since I'm only really experienced the Klopp era, I'm just like, what? Now I know what everybody was talking about. Okay, it's starting to make a little bit of sense
welcome to Brendan Rodgers, Lisa Marie.
Yeah. Hey, did you know Brendan Rodgers and I share a birthday?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I probably shouldn't be. Well, I'm definitely not bragging about it, but yes, it's of all people. Oh, wait. Not only him, Marino as well. I share a birthday with Rodgers and Marino. So
one dreadful, one godly. Yes. You got a good one at least. Right, we'll get back into this crap game.
Sorry.
No, it was a good going off topic with this.
It's good time.
Yeah. Andy, I mean, Ibu looks good again. He's just not as crap as he was against Brentford, because that was probably his only bad game in a Liverpool shirt. Then we come to a moment that summarises Liverpool's season so far. A Darwin overhead kick where he nearly kicks a bloke in the head. And then Henderson tries a left-footed worldie from the right side of the box. Then, to be fair, I think a few minutes later, Henderson does really well tracking, I think it's Ait-Nouri, after they break from a corner. But then it's their goal, Andy. Yeah. I mean, let's start with Thiago, because the Alisson thing we kind of already touched on. Thiago was a bit shit tonight.
He wasn't at his regular level. He really wasn't. I was very surprised that we started him tonight. I thought, I'll be honest, he was a player against Brentford who I thought looked like he was a bit run down, a bit tired.
Mm-hmm.
We've been picking him and needing him to play 90 minutes and 90 minutes and 90 minutes. And I thought we might have. I thought tonight we would have started with Keita and put Thiago on the bench and maybe brought him on for 20 minutes or something like that.
Even a Basetic or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Just keep him ticking over. But he's that is the concern for me as well. That we're playing him, we rely on him so heavily because he's been by far our best midfielder this season by a considerable distance. It's not even close. Yeah. It is not even the same zip code, postcode, whatever you want to call it.
And the scary thing is, Andy, I'd probably have Naby Keita in second. And he's played 2 games. If that. And
he wasn't at his usual level tonight, but he was involved all the time because we look to him to be involved all the time because we're asking him, as I said earlier, he's one of the players, we're asking him to do something all the time, something from nothing. And yeah, there was that period, it was about 14, 15 minutes in, that Wolves suddenly realised actually they could run at us. And they had a run and they had a chance. And I thought for about a 10-minute period then, it was quite sort of a competitive game. It was kind of 50-50 between us having a go and them having a go. And yeah, then the lead up to that goal. It should be simple for Thiago. He can take the ball under pressure anyway. He's easily our most press-resistant midfielder. But he has the time to turn and be able to pick out a pass. He does that little thing where he does the little body shift, drops his shoulder, and normally leaves the player. Tonight, the young lad, I forget his name now, who was seemed to be on him a lot. Credit to him. He did a really good. He did a really good job of keeping pace with him and making his life more difficult than it normally is. So he lost possession, but he recovered it. Whether or not it would have been a foul, whatever. The ball goes back to Alisson. That's the thing. He created a dangerous situation. He recovered it. So for me, he got himself out of the situation he put himself in. The ball is then at Alisson's feet. Everything that happens from there on in is purely on Alisson. And we know over the past few years, as brilliant as Alisson is, and he is the best in the world, he does have these brain fart games where he just, I'm not sure what it is. He just seems to love to kick the ball to the opposition. Maybe he hasn't had enough saves to make this season. Maybe he's just on a sponsored save-a-thon this season or something like that.
It's definitely not enough saves to make this season, Andy. I can assure you of that.
So maybe he just fancied making a few more saves and, thought I'd give him a bit of a chance here. And, but whatever it was, that's on Alisson. The simple as that. As Lisa Murray said, look, he's been far and away, other than Diaz, obviously, who got injured, he's been by far and away our best player this season. And he can have a few more of these games and still be our best player this season. So he deserves an off day, and he certainly had one tonight. And yeah, that was just a moment of madness that is likened to Karius. So, and I think that says
at least Karius was concussed.
yeah. It's one of them things, isn't it? It's just one of them things.
Yep. If it was any other goalkeeper, I'd be flaming him right now. But as I said earlier, we would be currently in the relegation zone without him, so do as you want. Yeah, but I'll stick with you, Andy. I mean, after that goal, it's just a nightmare, that goal. This seems to be where it kind of goes into for a lull for a bit, or I just forget to take notes. Probably that. But Guedes has a shot from distance and save from Ali. I think Henderson might go down with a knock, or he gets tackled quite hard at this period. But then, working our way up to our goal, it kind of comes out the blue, our goal, because we were getting overrun a wee bit, and then I think a lot of people in my WhatsApp groups and on Twitter and stuff saying, we have no creativity, we're not creating anything. And then we just turned back 2 years or 3 years to when Liverpool were the best team in Europe and did things that we should be doing every week. And Trent just plays a sublime pass, and Darwin, who can't, if he's got time to think, cannot score. But left foot shinned volley, piece of piss. Why not?
I've got to say, for that 20 minutes, my notes were, we were crap.
Yeah.
That is it. We were crap. We were utterly, utterly crap. And it's one of the alarming things, actually, of this team, that not only have we seemingly lost our identity, but we've gone from mentality monsters to fragile confidence players who don't seem to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing at any particular moment around the pitch. Because this was a team that was so well drilled in so many different situations that we always seem to know what to do, how to react, where to be. Definitely not the case this season. We do seem somewhat lost, unsure, uncertain, and in this case, once that goal was given away, we looked on edge. And for me, Wolves, they smelled blood. They smelled it. And they hadn't done a great deal up until that point where we gifted them a goal. But once they got the goal, that was it. For 20 minutes, we were on the ropes. They could easily have been 2 up and going into the break looking comfortable. And then, a minute before half-time, out of absolutely nothing, this goal it's not just the finish. It is the technique involved in Trent's assist. He's running full pelt and heads that ball down and then crosses it in open play. And it's one thing for that ball to be moving at a nice slow pace and to open your body and steady yourself and think about your technique and then strike the ball in the way that he normally does. But he was sprinting as he hits that ball. The technique is just out of this world. And it's that curl and the dip on it, and it's just beyond anything. And the timing of the run, the angle of the run, everything from Núñez is just perfect. And the finish, calm as you like, left foot. Yeah. Where's this lad been in terms of finishing like this for the season? I mean, I love him to bits for his hard work and his endeavour and the chaos that he causes. But obviously, he's very raw still, and there's work to be done in terms of his finishing like that. But if he can do some more finishes like that, it would be very much appreciated, because that was a thing of beauty. It was just, that was textbook stuff. His finish there was textbook. Calm, inside to the foot, cushions it. I mean, everything is about the technique involved in the pass. It's just a tremendous, tremendous moment. A fantastic goal. And you've got to say, considering what had happened for 20 minutes before it, we absolutely didn't deserve it, but I'll certainly take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Lisa Marie, I mean, your thoughts on the goal, and, well, your thoughts on Darwin Núñez as well, because I'll come back to Trent, because I think we mentioned the people coming back from the World Cup. He's one who's actually improved, but we'll come on to him in a bit. Darwin Núñez, I mean, lovely cross by Trent. What a finish. But I'm sure you and Trev, and me occasionally, and the other lads speak about him on the main pod. He's such a weird player, but I think everyone really likes him because they can see there's a player there. But as Andy says, we just got to fix a couple big parts of his game, and he'll be one of the most dangerous players in the league, if not the world. But yeah, he can be sublime.
I do like Darwin, and I like that kind of chaos that he brings, and I agree. I think if he has time to consider or think or whatever, how he's going to take the shot or whatever, it works against him, and he needs to be able to to just instinctively do what he's going to do. And that all just ties into what we've already talked about, just this whole, we're not free flowing, we've got all this disconnect and everything. I think if we could turn the key on some of that, it would turn the key with Darwin, allow him to just play. And yeah, but no, it was, I mean, we did not deserve that goal, because we were awful. Misplaced passes, couldn't string passes together, the midfield's being played through, all the things. And so it was nice to see that. Yes, Trent's pass, it was nice to see a Trent pass like that. And of all players to score, I'm glad it was Darwin, because there's just been so much chat and everything around him and about him since the beginning of the season, but even with all the missed chances here in the last couple of games, that I was very happy to see him put one in the net. And again, just so naturally, and but his work rate, and you can tell he really wants to do well, which, I mean, every player on the field would want to do well, but you can just see that hunger and that passion in him, and I just love that.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he was just meandering up front, I think everyone would be doubly annoyed with him, but he's relentless in his running. Yes,
you can see he, and of course, I don't know anything about all the stats and everything, but to me, you're watching him and he's all over the place. You just don't know where he's going to kind of pop up. And so, yeah, it's, I just like to see hard work pay off. And I knew statistically, no one can take that many chances. And, but we've seen this. It's not just with him. We've seen any of the front players. Mo went through that for a while, last season, where it was like, oh, for the love of God. And, and we used to see it with Mane from time to time. He would go through spells where, he couldn't buy a goal. So it was, it just happens. And you just know that, and I just think if, maybe one positive that can come out of this game is that's, a little bit of the, the push or the last piece to the puzzle, or whatever analogy you want to use, to get Darwin just really off the mark for us for the rest of the season, because we could certainly use that.
Yeah, I think the three positives to come out of this game really come from the goals, which is an easy, stupid statement to say, but you get a Trent assist, which was sensational. You get a Darwin sensational finish. And basically my first note of the half-time is our second goal as well. And you mentioned Mo being on poor finishing streaks. I think not to get too statsy, but I think Moore is second in big chances missed in the Premier League behind Darwin. So if it wasn't for Darwin, well, it's a Liverpool thing, seemingly. It's
Darwin to feel bad.
Yes, exactly. Just a leader legend.
Just leading, yes.
Yeah.
He's sticking by his teammate. No, yeah,
absolutely. But Lisa, I'll start with you, Lisa, for the second goal. I mean, I think it's Gakpo who tries a cross, and I think it's Toti Gomez who tries to header it away, but it's a great header towards Moore, and it's this weird offside rule where he was offside, but because the bloke headed it, he then becomes onside, which kind of punishes the defender for defending. But it helped us in this situation, so I don't mind it. But it is a very stupid rule. But yeah, it was nice to see Moore get a almost typical Moore finish. It's not a typical goal, but I've seen Moore score that finish 1,000 times by now.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, that was a nice, and I do feel we started the second half, pretty good, and I think it helped that we finished the first half on a bit of, on a high note, of course. So I think I felt we started the second half pretty well, and yeah, it was a lucky break. It's nice to see one of those weird rules go our way, because it seems like they more often than not don't. So nice change of pace for that to happen. But yeah, it was a great finish for Mo. So again, same thing as I just said with, about Darwin Núñez is I hope that, Mo hasn't really been clicking. I mean, for the season, it's just, he has scored as usual, he's scored goals and he's scored some nice goals, but it just hasn't felt as though he's hit the levels. Well, it doesn't, but he hasn't hit the levels that we know he can hit. Let me say this the right way. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know I don't know why. I don't know if it's just that whole, back to my parent theme for the evening, the whole disconnection thing. But yes, it's felt as though, I don't know if he's trying too hard, and I don't know. I'm not even going to try to go there. We have another podcast that, tries to unlock the mind. So yeah, but it was another nice goal, and I thought, okay, yeah, all right, we're moving in the right direction, and
let's win this game comfortably now. No,
and yeah, anyway. But you know what? All right, I do want to say this as well, because we haven't really said much about Cody Gakpo, and it's his first game. I wasn't expecting him to come on and score a hat trick, okay? But there were little things. I can't think of specifics right now, but just little passes, little moves, little whatever that I saw him make while he was playing. That is another positive I think we can take. I think, this is going to be a good player for us. And it almost seemed as though he and Robertson are already starting to click a little bit down that left side. So that's good, because, there hasn't. And, but no, I thought for his first appearance for us, that I thought he did well.
No, I'd agree with that. Andy, feel free to touch on the goal as well, but your thoughts on Gakpo's first, 75, 80 minutes, I think it was? Might have been longer.
Like I say, early on, the signs were positive for me in that his first touch looked really good. and he looked like he was intent on going at people, and he looks like he can go past people. And I think maybe that's just something we'll see more and more over the coming weeks as he feels he's a part of the squad, part of the team. I guess tonight he was trying to assure to his teammates that he's, a big time Charlie, that he's ready to do his part and integrate and be part of the team and cede possession and cede the ball to others. And he played a lot of safe passes, I thought, just to keep possession and move it infield to other players and keep them on the ball. And yeah, I thought he linked up with Robertson quite well. So I think that's just one of those things, just a new player settling in, not wanting to seem like too much of a big-time Charlie to his teammates, which is probably, again, another good sign in terms of how he is in the dressing room, and he will be behind the scenes. So I think there's a lot more to come from him, certainly a lot more to come from him. On the goal, I thought, after an okay start to the second half, I thought it was okay, it was decent. Yeah, it was very generous. And there was no challenge from Moore, so what Totti did, I know you're saying punished for defending. He's being punished for bad defending.
True.
And rightly so, because there was no challenge on him. If there was a challenge, then absolutely it should be offside. But there was no one within 5-10 yards of him. So what he did was just brainless. So he absolutely deserves to get punished for such a terrible header. But it was very generous of him, and I thank him for it all the same. And it was nice to see the Mo Salah that we often see in terms of the way he took it down, the first touch, the calmness, shifts, turns, and slots it in without a single thought. It's just what he does. So that again, I mean, that was nice. Another goal for Salah this season because he's racking them up. So, yeah, I feel like I said, I do feel like there's a lot more to come from Cody Gakpo based on that game. And just whenever you actually, before we get to the goal that we so generously gave them again, another theme of tonight and through this season, there was that point on 55 minutes where it was just a bog standard ball over the top where that Ait-Nouri goes running through and Alisson makes the save. It's a 1v1 save, which is more like Alisson. But it was just such a simple ball through, yet we looked exposed to it again. And again, Trent as well. Trent actually played pretty well tonight. His defending in the last few games has been much better. Him putting pressure on him was the only thing probably that put him off somewhat, and that helps make that a little bit more standard for Alisson. But again, that was the thing of this match. From both teams as well, actually coughing up possession, easily coughing up possession. But when we cough up possession, we look so vulnerable to the transition. And that's all this was. It's just a simple ball over the top. Boom, you run through and in behind us. And it was that's that continues to worry me.
Yeah, there was another moment I'll come on into a sec. That was literally my next note, the Ait-Nouri chance. Well, I think there's some nice interplay between Darwin and Robbo. And then I think it's basically at shoulder height for Mo, so he can't really do anything with it in terms of scoring a goal. But you mentioned getting caught on the break, and I think it comes from our corner. It might be a wide free kick. They counter, then we counter. And we basically both teams fuck it up, but it just shows that a corner for us is seemingly just a chance for the other team nowadays. I don't know, we just seem to not be able to contain the other team after a corner, and our corners, they always hit the first man, so it's not going in. It's just so odd that you mentioned there. And I think it was Jimenez on this one. If he didn't basically run into Joel Matip and pass to one of 3 or 4 people, they would have had a chance. It's just really, really stupid. But I won't dally too long. My next note Lisa Marie, was Trent's being sensational. And then 2 minutes later, he doesn't try to defend their goal. So I clearly jinxed Trent, and I apologise for that. But, yeah, I mean, let's talk about Trent. Because in the World Cup, he got a lot of shit, even though he didn't play.
I was going to say, but he didn't play, so
yes,
anyway.
Yes, but it was his fault England didn't win because he can't defend, obviously. But no, he had the first third of the season before the World Cup, he was bad. I think everyone agrees. But he's come back from the World Cup, and I think he's been probably our best player off the top of my head, which might not say loads, but he's been quite good. He certainly looks competent again in terms of defending. But there is still that there, because we see on their second goal, he kind of just watches the play happen. And he does become a bit ball-watchy at time. He's not the only culprit, because Matip was bad in that. I think Alisson could have saved it, but there was a couple of deflections, but that's not blaming Alisson. And Ibu, another, I think it comes off him, so there's that 2 own goals in 2 games for him. That's not great. But I can't really blame him for this one. So it's a mess from all over, but Trent, really good, but there's still that defensive question mark that the commentator loves to bring up every 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, all right, so I agree with everything that you said, that yes, the first third of the season, he was not great. And of course, he wasn't the only one, but it was, I think it was harder to sort of understand because we're not used to Trent not being, he'd have an off game here and there, but for the most part, it would be a one-off kind of thing. So the consistent lack of whatever that we were seeing from him, and not even just from the defensive, but just in general, was unusual. But yes, it seems since the World Cup, because you know what? Hey, he got a lot of rest, so I think he seems to have come back in much better form. Which is good, and his defending overall, yes, I agree, has been better. But he does seem to just sort of switch off every now and again. Like, he gets, I don't know if there's some bright shiny object that catches his attention or what, but he does get kind of caught ball watching. But again, it's like people are. I mean, he could have a fabulous game and there could be one little incident and that's what everybody's going to hyper focus on, which is it's just so infuriating and frustrating because it's not fair. It's not fair to him, and I think it seems to me that he's done a fairly good job of kind of not letting that get into his head too much, but there's certainly room for improvement. But you know what? Everybody can say that. I don't think there's anyone who can say that there isn't room for improvement in their game. So,
yeah, very true, very true. And I've always said if his defending matches his attacking about output, he'd be the best fullback in history.
Well, right.
Andy, yeah, exactly. Andy, you see you're muted there. Is there anything you want to add on Trent?
Just on that goal, I mean, the lead up to it, obviously there was Canate tries to play the pass out, it's blocked. So then he just clears the ball and they win the header just inside our own half. The ball actually lands in the area where we should have our right-sided midfielder. And I know Dave's not on the pod to have a go at him, but you mentioned in the first half that moment where Jordan Henderson tracked back and recovered a situation, and that was really good. But I've got to say, that was about the only thing he did in this match. He looks to me like a player who's always been a kind of... You have players who anticipate the player in the head of the play and they know what's going to happen. He's a kind of a player who's always been reacting to what's happening around him, and his mobility was a part of what drove him on, and his dynamism and his mobility and everything. And his energy and his tenacity and his mindset and everything. And as he's physically regressed quite alarmingly over the past year and a half, we now have a player who's behind the play and now can't catch up with it, and is now, I'm not sure whether it's by design or whether he's supposed to be somewhere between the half space and the 10 position in this game. I don't know if that's by design or just by him pushing.
Well, he was drifting over the left a lot in the first half, wasn't he? It was very weird.
It's a very weird setup, and I can only assume that it is part of a tactical thing, that he doesn't just decide to do this on his own, because when Elliott's on the pitch on that side of he's supposed to be in that position as well, he kind of goes off drifting. So I do wonder if there is a bit of a design in this, but the issue that we've got now physically with Henderson is he used to be able to recover his position when we were on the transition. Now he can't do that. And as the ball comes back at us, that's where I would expect him to be. He should be in that space in front of that triangle between Matip, Trent. It should be Henderson in that area. So where they win the ball, they win the header just inside our half. They play the ball into that area of the pitch, and he's nowhere to be found. We don't have anyone because our midfield has shifted over to the left. And that then it's Hwang and Mateus Cunha playing a 1-2 around Trent. And yet Trent does get caught flat-footed and he could do a lot better. But we really should have some midfield cover in that side of the park. We absolutely should. And like I said, I don't want to feel like we're just picking on him all the time. But whether it's down to him and his physical limitations now, or whether this is by design, because if it's by design, then there's something seriously wrong.
He does get subbed a minute later, to be fair, so maybe Klopp does agree. Well,
maybe. I mean, that was going to be something I was going to say, but if this is by design, then there's serious discussions need to be had in the staff meeting there between Klopp and his coaching staff as to what they are doing, because if this is a design, then they're leaving us wide open, and teams are picking us apart at will with this as well, and picking this area and identifying this area of the pitch, and that's where this comes from. This really is totally unnecessary, and all it takes is one player in that space to be able to do something, and hopefully it doesn't happen, or at least make it a lot more difficult, because it was way too simple. And everything that then happens, I mean, I think Alisson could have done better. Konate probably feels like he would cover a little better than he did, and Trent obviously getting caught flat-footed. But that whole thing for me is when it drops on the outside of our box, on the edge of our box, we don't have a midfielder there. We do not have a midfielder there, and this is a theme going throughout the season, and is a real problem, and is for me is at the crux of what's wrong with this team.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked, and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mag boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah. I mean, it's mentioned on nearly every podcast. I'm sure you have covered it on Nina's post-match shows as well. Whenever that area of the pitch gets targeted, and it's been an issue all season. It was an issue last season. We just kind of covered it up by being fucking brilliant. It's been an issue for a while now, and it's neglect, basically incompetency not to fix this with a transfer at this stage, because there isn't an option in the club. And I mentioned we subbed off Henderson a minute later. I forgot to mention Wolves made 3 subs before the goal, a couple of minutes before the goal. Hwang, Cunha and future Liverpool midfielder, seemingly Mateus Nunes, came on and he looked very good. To be fair, they made a difference, scored basically instantly. Lisa Marie, Naby Keita came on. Player of many, many discussions, too many discussions. And to be fair, he's not started yet, but since he's came back from injury, which is he always comes back from injury, he has looked impactful from the bench. Sometimes he's doing a bit too much and he gets caught on the ball. We saw that in today's game. We obviously saw it in the Brentford game, where it cost us, well, that didn't cost us a goal. I think it's more Ibu being a Doyle cost us a goal in that regard. But yeah, it's Andy mentioned the midfield issues there. And whilst we're not buying a midfielder, we surely have to start Naby at some point, because Henderson, love him, hate him, despise him, debate him, whatever, he looks cooked. Elliott's not a midfielder, and we'll come on to his substitution in a minute. But whilst Naby is fit, we have to play him, surely. He's not a perfect option, but he's certainly the best option for that position at the minute.
Agree. I think Naby's substitution appearances here, it has been an impact, and a positive impact. I'd be specific. And I thought again today, he seems to bring a level of control kind of back into, or to the midfield. I don't know how much control it really has the last couple games. I mean, because even though, we all have, cited past Thiago is basically the maestro, he hasn't been great the last couple of games. I don't think. Mm-hmm. To his levels, if and I've said this in the past that I think we have. I've said it in the past in regards to Trent, and I'll say it as Thiago. I think we all have there's a very high bar, and we have very high expectations. So, but they've earned that. So there's a reason for it. But I think Keita, as he has come in, has he has certainly helped the midfield situation, and he does. He needs to be played more, if nothing else. And I expected, I think Andy said this earlier, I definitely expected Keita to start this game and Thiago to maybe come in, in the last 20, 30. Flip-flop what we actually, well, actually, that's not right, because Thiago stayed on, didn't he?
Yeah, he played the full game, I think, didn't he?
The full game, so I certainly didn't expect that. But no, I think Keita certainly has helped the midfield situation, when he has come on. Honestly, it would be very difficult to make it any worse sometimes. So, and poor Henderson. I suppose it could be, but Henderson, bless his heart, he does. He's kind of done, and he certainly can't play more than 60. But he looked done by the end of the first half to me. I was expecting that substitution. Well, not expecting. I was called that substitution far earlier than it happened. And yeah, but bless him. He looks, Henderson, he just looks ponderous to me when he's on the field. Just again, kind of awkward, and just there was a couple times I was watching him try to turn the ball, but it was, it was not graceful, for lack of a better word. I don't even know what to say, but it just looked awkward and ponderous, and it's just, I don't know what, I don't know what to do, because he's here. He'll be here for a while. See them getting rid of him, but I think the only way it's going to be solved is if we do get in some new midfield players, and he can be hopefully gracefully made a sub where he comes in for the last, maybe 20, 30 minutes of a game and whatever. But I don't, we're jumping about probably 3 or 4 steps ahead. We got to get the midfielders in here first before we can.
That's true. That is true.
Start figuring who's a starter and who's a bench player. But anyway,
To be fair, the way we're doing stuff, we'll whack him on the bench and we'll just run with, I don't know, the corpse of Curtis Jones at this stage or something.
and bless his heart too.
He was back, so he could have. I think he was back. I don't know. He might have been on the bench.
He wasn't on the bench.
He wasn't on the bench. Fuck it. He's probably injured again. Fuck's sake.
All right, look. All right, I'm going to sidetrack and I'm going to get into I know he had that stress fracture or whatever at the beginning of the season, which again, I know a lot more about that type of stuff than I used to because my daughter's been dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And it is something that if, you push too fast, too hard, it can flare back up again. So I don't know if they're just being careful with him but he does seem to pick up some of the weirdest injuries. Bless him. But anyway, we shouldn't talk about players that weren't even on the field today. So anyway,
at this stage, he's basically the extra chuckle brother or the third stooge for American people, or the fourth stooge, I should say, for American people. It's a strange one with him. Andy, coming back to you, this is where my notes go away basically. Yeah, I mean, if you want to touch on the midfield situation, you mentioned it there, with Henderson not basically being able to do Henderson things anymore. Please do, but basically my only next note is Wolves' offside goal, which we didn't have a camera angle for because we couldn't see into the corner. So, yeah, Andy...
explain that to me.
No.
All right.
We only have 77 cameras. We didn't have the 78th on. It's insane.
Well, the Arsenal game punished us for that, and now we've got our own back. But it might have just been Mike Dean going rogue, to be fair.
And I call bullshit on that Arsenal one as well, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That was in the middle. That was the middle of the fucking
exactly.
pitch.
No way. Absolute bullshit. There's probably someone with a camera on their phone videoing the game that had an angle of it. Absolute bullshit. The only thing I want to say on Henderson is, look, part of this is on the club and recruitment as well, that we're running him, physically we're running him into the ground now, because we should have started the regeneration of the midfield a couple of years ago. It should have been an evolution. All it needed 2 years ago, one signing, last summer, one signing, and then piece by piece we are slowly regenerating the midfield in the way that we've regenerated our forward line, and that is on the club and not doing their job. And that's look, Henderson, I like him as a human being. I think first class, absolutely first class human being. He's done some tremendous things. He's a brilliant ambassador for the club. He's been a very good captain. Obviously, his role within the squad, he's well respected. He's very good within the squad and representing the club. It's in so many ways. And just when you think of when he came into the club, what he was up against, what he had to overcome in order just to remain a Liverpool player, that's for me is testament to his mentality and his mindset, that he was determined to prove himself. And he went on, I would say, a 2-3 year period of putting in so many good performances and being a key member of the team. And I've got nothing but respect for him, and I really do like him on a personal level. Unfortunately, on the pitch over the past couple of years, it's becoming more and more apparent that he is not the player he was, and his loss of mobility and physicality is now becoming a problem for the team as well. And it is, like I said, the failure is then on the club not doing the recruitment that they should have done in order to make him be a more peripheral figure, so to speak, and having less of a full-on role, so that he can rest up a lot more, because he does pick up the injuries, and then we can use him in games here and there. And the Milner role, it's. So, and the whole contract situation and everything, whatever, but a lot of it is on the club, not so much the player. And it's a real shame that it's becoming such a toxic situation, and that is
it's a bit like the Gerrard situation, isn't it?
It comes back to the club. The club failing to do the things that they need to do in order to prepare for the next generation of this team and to move on. And years gone by when we were successful year in, year out, Bob Paisley, on the backs of winning big trophies, would already be planning for, some of your senior players, once they're hitting 30, he'd already have in place, your replacement. And we've been moving this team on because you can't afford sentimentality. And it's a shame, as much as, we're going to love these players and we're emotionally attached to them because they're a part of us as fans winning these big trophies and having these great, fantastic emotional moments. And we love them for it and we'll always hold them in high esteem. But if the club wants to keep being successful, it can't afford that sentimentality level. And we've got to keep moving on and moving past and moving beyond and slowly transitioning them out of the team for a younger model. And that's just how it goes. And it's nothing personal. It's just the business of winning football matches and winning trophies. And that's where we want to be on a regular basis. So anyway, off on a bit of a tangent there. But the one thing I just want to pick out in terms, before we get to talking about the goal that was disallowed, is another thing on Harvey Elliott and him not fitting as a midfielder, despite it seems like the more coaching he has, the less suited he seems to be as a midfielder. It's oddly, he's talented. He's clearly talented, and he's obviously a really nice lad because he seems to be very, very popular within the squad. And his heart and his soul is into everything, and he really wants to give it all. And I admire that. But when it comes to pressing, he goes charging in, and it's like a headless chicken. He's charging in, and it's so easy to play around him. And the problem is then it's for the team, because when he fails to make that press, they easily move around it. Somebody else has to step out of position in order to keep that press moving, and then we become more vulnerable as a team. And again, this is just a part and parcel of this ongoing issue that we seem to have in our structure this season. And I really, really hope Harvey Elliott can fulfill his potential as a player, but I do kind of wonder quite where he's going to fit in the team, Liverpool, in the long term, and whether or not it will actually be for Liverpool, because he really does not seem suited to this right midfield role. With all the will in the world that we're trying to do and he's trying to do, it just, for me, just isn't working. And his short time on the pitch, for all he put the effort in trying to do it, the ease at which teams can move around him when he goes to press is a part of the problem that we're having.
And it's not exactly Man City as well. It's Wolves it's a rotated Wolves team as well, who I think are 19th in the Premier League at the minute. They might be a bit higher, but they've been awful this season. So yeah, it's not great, but I do agree. And I really do think Elliott could be a star at this club, but it's not going to be that position. Andy, I'll stick with you for the offside goal. No idea. Seemingly, it's the corner taker who was offside. I think it was Mateus Nunes who was offside. We've not seen it. They're showing a shitty replay where they had no proper angle to see if he was offside. I'd say it done us a favour. We have to do a replay now after that goal didn't count, so that might not be great. Means I have to do another podcast, which isn't fun for me. But to be fair, I think Wolves deserve that goal, Andy.
They did. Let's be fair, they did deserve it. Over the course of the game, they were better than us. They were slightly better than us, and they had more of the big chances than us. Or that's certainly how it seemed. And yeah, we're watching the initial replays, and I'm thinking, well, I can't see anyone offside. Why has the assistant put his flag up? And it wasn't until later where they point out that actually the assistant puts the flag up because the corner taker comes back immediately from an offside position and receives the ball. So we can only presume it was the right call. And yeah, worst possible outcome. Now we have to
another Liverpool match. God, not great.
But the only thing in there as well is how bad we looked defending set pieces against Brentford.
Again,
we looked shaky, and this was another one. We looked like a bag of nerves when there's a lot of people in the box, and you just hoist the ball in there and hope for the best. Because if you don't score, then we might well just put it in the net for you.
Well, seemingly, yeah. I mean, Ibu's on 3 goals in a row now, I think. God, yeah, Lisa Marie, anything to add on that? You asked how, but I don't think you can explain it. I mean, seemingly there's a dark spot in Anfield that cameras don't have, and seemingly the FA aren't showing VAR replays like the Premier League as well, which is really weird.
Well, they did. I mean, of course, I was watching different coverage than you all.
Right, okay.
ESPN. So they did do some replays, but I still didn't see it or didn't understand. So, I mean, I might go back and look, if I can find it and look at it again. But I don't understand it. And, most of the time we'd be like, wow, VAR did us a favor. But see, it just goes to show you that VAR is still screwing us over. So, yeah. Anyway,
even when it helps.
Even when it helps, yeah. Now, the Wolves didn't win. And anyway. And yes, I agree with, the defense of the set pieces. It's again something that is just a weird feeling, because I didn't used to worry, the other team got a corner, you'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. And, every now and again they'd get a lucky one, but for the most part, no, we knocked that away and moved on. Same thing where, on the flip side for us, for our set pieces, we had a corner. It was like, all right, yeah, this is a goal chance. Well, now you're like, whatever. So it's, I don't know what they're working on in training, but it's apparently not that.
Yep, it's definitely not defending, and in general, it's not defending. It's not midfield work, but Darwin and Moore vibes. That's basically what we'll go with today. But that's basically it. I think that we had a break at the end of the game, but it's not worth talking about. And plus, we've been over here an hour, and this has gone longer than I thought it would. But midfield tangents and all that jazz. Anything to plug Lisa Marie before we go?
Latest episode of the main AIP went out earlier today. So yeah, we had some chats. I'm trying to think, what did we even talk about? The usual all around and whatnot. So you're looking for something to distract you for an hour or so, check out episode 352 of the main Anfield Index podcast.
And I'm not on that one, so
no, you're not.
It's much more listenable. It's much more listenable.
But we missed. I mean, we didn't have anything to start with because we didn't have one of your wonderful movie recommendations.
Oh, that's true. To be fair, after Santa Jaws, it's all downhill, isn't it? To be fair.
Absolutely. Oh, and 24 days until I leave for Ireland. So.
Oh yes.
For anybody who's keeping track.
The Trev Roundup. Andy, anything from you before we go?
Just very, very briefly, I want to say the Ben Doak cameo. I enjoyed that. He was so aggressive, and he's quick, and he was getting about players, knocking them all over. No fears about his physicality. I enjoyed that bit. But no, I've not really got anything to plug other than Trev's not on this, obviously, because what with it being a cup, and we do have a move around, don't we, for the cups. Even if Liverpool don't change the goalkeepers for cups. So I'll say, go and check out Trev's Great Stories podcast.
Good man. That's why he's rested. He's got to read. He's got to read out loud, whereas I just chat shit. But that is it. I will be back. I don't know when the replay will be, but it'll be me and some 2 other poor bastards. But thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for listening live as well. Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.